Amara stood quietly in the long airport line. She wore a simple blue hoodie, jeans, and old sneakers. Her backpack was a little worn out. Her phone had a cracked screen. She looked like just another tired traveler. But inside her, a storm was building. Her heart beat faster with every step forward. She looked at her ticket again, Gate 7. She checked the time, 2:14 p.m. She wasn't flying just for a holiday. She wasn't flying for fun. She was flying to meet someone important, someone she had never met in person. Her father. Behind her, a young woman with a designer bag looked her up and down, then rolled her eyes. Two boys with headphones whispered and laughed. Amara heard them. She always did, but said nothing. She had learned to stay quiet, but the worst moment came at the security line. A tall white man in uniform, Officer Brad, looked at her ticket. He laughed. "You sure this is the right line?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "VIPs don't usually wear that." Some passengers chuckled. Amara stood still. She wanted to say something, but she just smiled a small, sad smile and walked forward. Brad turned to his co-worker. "These people think they can just walk into anywhere," he muttered. "She probably found that ticket in the trash." More laughter. Amara sat down near Gate 7, her eyes on the clock. She took out her phone. One unread message. "Don't be afraid. I'm almost there. Just wait. Dad." Her hands shook slightly, not because she was scared of meeting him, but because she didn't know what to feel. Was she excited, angry, nervous? Maybe all of them at once. All her life, Amara had only seen her father in one photo, in a suit, standing in front of a black car with flags. Her mother never said much. "He's in government. A good man. He couldn't stay." But he cared. As a little girl, Amara waited every birthday for a card. One came every year, always signed with love. But no visits, no calls. And now, after all these years, he said he was coming. To this airport. Today. Across the airport, Officer Brad was still watching her. He didn't like how calm she looked. He walked closer. "You waiting for someone, sweetheart?" he said, loud enough for others to hear. Amara looked up. "Yes," she replied simply. Brad smirked. "Well, they better have the right ID. We don't let just anyone walk through here." She stayed silent. Inside her pocket, her fingers touched the phone. Her father had told her, "If anything feels wrong, wait, I'll handle it." Suddenly, a man in a black suit stepped through the VIP gate. He walked with power, silent but sure. People noticed. Some stood. Airport staff whispered. Amara's eyes locked on him. She stood slowly. Officer Brad, still near her, laughed. "Oh, look. Another rich guy." The man didn't look at Brad. He walked straight toward Amara. Her heart pounded. She stepped forward, unsure. Then the man finally looked at her and smiled. "Amara?" Her breath caught. "Yes," she said softly. He opened his arms. "I'm sorry it took so long." Officer Brad watched with a confused face. Then something changed. 4 men in black earpieces surrounded the suited man. People began recording. Someone whispered, "Is that—" A staff member rushed forward. "Sir, we didn't know you'd arrive early." Brad turned pale. He looked at Amara. She wasn't just another girl anymore. She was someone important. But it was already too late. Amara looked at Brad one last time. She didn't say a word. But her silence was louder than anything. Her eyes said, "You laughed too soon." Officer Brad stood near the security desk, still watching Amara from a distance. His arms were crossed. His mouth curled into a smug smile. "She got lucky," he muttered to his co-worker. "Some rich guy picking up street kids now?" The other officer chuckled nervously. "Maybe it's just charity." Brad laughed louder. These people always play the victim until someone feels sorry for them. They laughed together, not knowing that the man who had arrived wasn't just some rich guy. He was someone far more powerful. Meanwhile, Amara sat next to the man in the black suit. They didn't talk much. She stared at his face, still trying to believe it was real. He looked strong, calm, and serious. His suit was expensive, his watch, military style, but the sadness in his eyes told her. This wasn't easy for him either. "Why now?" Amara finally asked. The man looked down. "Because I couldn't wait any longer," he said. Amara nodded. She had so many questions. But for now, she stayed quiet. Sometimes, silence says more than words. Back at the desk, Brad watched again. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He picked up a small radio. "Did anyone clear a private arrival just now?" he asked. A voice replied, "Negative, but there's movement from government protocol teams, high security." Brad frowned. "Why wasn't I told?" No answer. He clicked off the radio and walked out of the room, heading toward Amara again. Inside, Amara's mind, memories returned. She remembered how her mother used to say, "Your father works far away, where people need protection." He didn't leave because he wanted to. He left to keep people safe. She remembered the birthday, cards, always the same message. "One day I'll hold your hand at the airport gate. Until then, stay strong. Dad." And now it had finally happened. But why today? Why not before? She looked at him again. "Are you really my father?" The man turned to her. He took a deep breath. "Yes, Amara, I'm your father, and I've missed you every day." Just then, Brad approached, loud footsteps. The man in the suit didn't move, but two men in black jackets stepped forward. "Sir," they said, stopping Brad. "I just want to speak to her," Brad said. "Is that allowed now?" His voice had changed, less confident. Amara looked up. "She doesn't need to talk to you," the suited man said calmly. Brad laughed. "So, you're the dad now? What are you, her lawyer?" The two black-jacketed men stared at him. One of them spoke into a mic. "Threat near subject. Holding position." Brad took a step back. "Threat? I didn't do anything." Amara stood now. Her voice was soft, but steady. "You laughed at me, without even knowing my name." The man, her father, looked at Brad and said firmly, "You judged her by her skin, her clothes, and her silence." She didn't need to fight back. Her presence was loud enough. Brad said nothing. For the first time, he had no words. Meanwhile, in another part of the airport, security screens were flashing. A name had been confirmed: General Samuel Wright, Department of Homeland Security. Status: clearance level 5, arrival confirmed. People began to notice. Whispers spread, phones came out, passengers were now talking. "Is that the general? Why is he here with that girl? What's going on?" Officer Brad was told to step back. "Go back to your station," one federal guard said coldly. Brad walked away, his face burning with shame. He tried to act normal, but deep down, he knew he had messed with the wrong person. Back at Gate 7, Amara looked around. People were still staring, but now they weren't laughing. They were curious. Some even looked guilty. Amara felt her hands shaking again. Her father noticed. He held her hand gently and whispered, "It's okay. You're safe now." And for the first time in a long time, she believed it. The airport was buzzing now. What started as a normal afternoon had turned into something strange. People were whispering. Staff members were rushing. Cameras were quietly clicking. But in the middle of it all, Amara sat calmly beside the man in the black suit, her father. She didn't speak much. Her heart was still heavy, not because of the people staring, but because for years She had felt invisible. And now, suddenly, everyone was watching. In a corner of the airport, a tall man in a gray suit stood quietly. He wasn't looking at his phone. He wasn't reading anything. He was watching Amara very closely. His name was Agent Miles, and he worked for the Federal Intelligence Department. He had heard whispers of General Wright's sudden appearance, and now he wanted to know why the general had come for a teenage girl with no known record. Meanwhile, Officer Brad stood in the staff lounge, staring at the monitor screen. He zoomed in on Amara. "She's just a kid," he muttered. "Why is everyone acting like she's royalty?" His coworker shook his head. "Maybe she is. Did you check her name?" Brad frowned. "No one told me anything. It's like she just appeared." His hands were shaking now. Deep down, he felt something bad was coming. Back near Gate 7, Amara turned to her father. "Are you going to leave again?" she asked softly. Her voice was full of fear and hope. General Wright looked into her eyes. "I came to fix what I broke," he said. "I couldn't protect you from the world. But I can protect you now." She looked away. "I didn't need protection," she said. "I needed a father." Those words hit him hard, but he nodded. He didn't argue, because she was right. More agents began to appear in the airport, not in uniform. They wore simple suits, quiet, professional, but their eyes were always moving. They were watching Brad. They were watching the passengers. And most of all, they were watching Amara. Inside the airport's hidden control room, Agent Miles spoke into a secure phone line. "She's with him. Confirmed." A voice replied, "Do not interfere. Observe only." Miles asked, "Why is the general meeting her here, in public?" The voice said, "You'll know soon enough. Just keep watching." Back in the lounge, Brad tried to act normal. But then, he saw something on the staff monitor. His own face. Security footage was being replayed. He saw himself laughing at Amara, mocking her clothes, pointing at her backpack. He looked around. "Who pulled this footage?" he asked. No one answered. That's when he knew. They were watching him now. At the gate, Amara felt her phone vibrate. Another message. "Stay calm. Do not leave the gate. News crews may arrive. You are protected." She showed it to her father. He gave a small nod. "It's time," he said. "Time for what?" she asked. "You'll see." Then something unbelievable happened. Amara followed her father and the Secretary of Defense into a private lounge inside the airport. The noise, the people, the whispers, all faded away. Now it was quiet. But inside her heart, everything felt louder than ever. She looked at her father, at the powerful woman beside him, then back at the quiet room. Why am I here?" she asked. Her voice was shaky. The secretary sat down and smiled gently. "You deserve to know the truth," she said. Amara's father nodded. "It's time." He took a deep breath. "Amara," he said softly, "your mother wasn't just the woman I loved. She was my partner in a mission." Amara's eyes widened. "What?" Her father continued. "We met overseas, in a country where danger was everywhere. She wasn't a soldier, but she was strong, smart, and brave." Amara could barely speak. "You mean, she worked with you?" "Yes," he said. "She helped save lives, but she had to stay hidden. No one could know who she really was, not even her own family." Amara remembered how quiet her mother used to be, how she never talked much about the past. "She always looked tired," Amara whispered, "and scared sometimes." Her father nodded slowly. She was scared, but not for herself. She was scared for you, the secretary added. There was a threat, a group who wanted revenge. They didn't care about justice. They just wanted to hurt anyone close to your father. "That's why your mother disappeared," her father said. Why I stayed. Away. Amara blinked. To protect me? He reached out and held her hand. Yes. It was the hardest decision of my life. Back in the airport, the press had started to arrive. Camera crews, reporters, security guards trying to control the crowd. Officer Brad stood alone, near a side exit. He watched everything happening and felt like he was shrinking. One of his superiors approached. HQ is reviewing footage. They saw everything. Brad swallowed hard. It was just a joke. It wasn't, the man replied. And now it's too late. In the lounge, Amara looked at her father. You could have sent someone, explained this earlier. I wanted to, he said. But anyone I sent would have put you in danger. She thought about the nights she cried alone. The bullies at school, the feeling of being forgotten. But I was already in pain, she whispered. I know, he said, and I'll carry that guilt forever. Suddenly a phone buzzed. The secretary answered, then looked at the general. They're ready. He turned to Amara. I want you to come with me. Where? He gave a small smile. To meet people who have waited years to meet you. Amara was confused. Who? Your mother's old friends. People who knew what she did, who respected her, who've protected you without you even knowing. They walked through a back corridor. Security followed quietly. As they reached the gate, Amara looked through a window. She saw another private plane waiting. A new life was waiting too. Not just one with power or fame, but with truth and maybe, finally, peace. She turned to her father before stepping on the plane. Will it be safe now? He looked at her with a soft smile. With me beside you? Always. By the time Amara's plane took off, the world already knew her name. It started with a whisper online, then a few news headlines. And by the end of the day, millions of people had seen the airport video. A teenage black girl, laughed at by officers. Then, rescued by a powerful man, not just any man, but General Samuel Wright, her father. Her name trended everywhere. On Amara Wright, people were shocked. People were curious. Some were inspired. But others were angry. Inside the jet, Amara stared out the window. She didn't speak much. Her father sat beside her, watching her closely. Are you okay? He asked gently. I don't know, she replied. This all feels big. It is big, he said. But you're not alone now. Amara gave a small nod, but inside her heart, a storm was growing. She never asked for fame. She never wanted cameras or headlines. She just wanted to feel seen, not judged, not laughed at. The plane landed at a hidden military base. A long black car waited. As they drove, her father explained more. You're going to meet some people who protected your mother, people who kept your name out of records, until today. Why, today? She asked. Because you stood strong. You spoke with dignity, and the world needed to see that. At a tall gray building, she was led inside. A group of people stood waiting, officers, analysts, even some older women. One of them stepped forward, an older lady with kind eyes. You look just like her, she said. Amara smiled softly. You knew my mom? She saved my life once, and now it's our turn to protect yours. Amara didn't understand fully, but her heart felt warm. For the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged. Meanwhile, at the airport, Officer Brad's name was also spreading online. The video showed him laughing, mocking, turning away. When Amara needed help, now the same internet that ignored him before, was calling for his job. He sat in a dark room, staring at the news on his phone. Officer suspended after mocking teen. Turns out she's a general's daughter. He threw the phone across the room. This isn't fair, he whispered. How was I supposed to know? But deep down he knew. He didn't need to know her name to treat her with respect. Back at the base, Amara stood in a quiet room with her father. On the wall were photos of heroes. Some wore medals. Some wore simple smiles. Her father pointed to one photo. It was her mother, young, brave, strong. She was the real hero, he said. I just followed her lead. Amara looked at the photo with teary eyes. She would have been proud of you. Today, he added. Amara nodded. I hope so. Then a call came in. The Secretary of Defense. Are you ready to speak? She asked Amara. Speak? Amara asked. Yes. The media wants to hear your story, but only if you want to. Amara looked at her father. He didn't push her. It's your choice. She thought for a moment, then said, I'll speak, but not for fame. I'll speak for every girl who was laughed at and didn't have someone to stand up for her. Her father smiled with pride. The world had seen a moment of pain. Now, it would hear a voice of strength. The stage was simple, a white podium, a small crowd, a few cameras. Nothing flashy. But the world was watching. Millions of people, across cities and countries, had their eyes glued to their screens. Everyone wanted to hear from the girl in the airport, the girl who didn't scream, the girl who didn't fight back, the girl who stood silent, until her silence spoke louder than any voice. Amara stood behind the podium. She was wearing a plain blue dress. No makeup, no bodyguards, just courage. Her father sat in the front row. His hands were tight, his eyes full of worry and pride. The Secretary of Defense gave her a small nod. You're ready, she whispered. Amara took a deep breath and began. Hello, she said. Her voice was soft but clear. My name is Amara Wright. Maybe you know that now. But for a long time, nobody knew. Me, not really. I was just the girl with the old shoes, the girl with the messy bag, the girl people laughed at in line. She paused. People leaned closer to their screens. I was judged because of my clothes, my skin, my silence. But today, I want to tell you something. She looked straight into the camera. I was silent because I was tired, not weak. The room went quiet. Even the camera crews stopped moving. Amara continued. I didn't cry at the airport because I was scared of the officer. I cried because it had happened before. Again and again. In classrooms, on buses, in stores. And no one stood up. Until that day, when someone did. She glanced at her father. But here's the truth, she said. I didn't need a soldier. I needed kindness. Tears filled many eyes in the room. Reporters looked down at their notes, ashamed. Amara wasn't angry. She wasn't yelling. She was just honest, and that was powerful. I'm not speaking today because I want fame, she said. I'm speaking because some little girl is watching this now. She thinks she's invisible. She thinks no one will ever see her, or respect her, or protect her. I want to say this to her. She leaned in slightly. You matter, even when they laugh, even when they turn away. Your voice is quiet, but your heart is loud. And one day, they will hear you. A hush fell over the room, then slow applause, then louder, then standing. Even the guards near the walls wiped their eyes. On social media, her speech spread like fire. Amara Wright is the voice we needed. She didn't just speak. She healed. Not a victim. A leader. But not everyone was happy. In quiet offices, some officials watched with tight jaws. She's shifting the narrative, one man said. Another replied, too many people are listening. What do? We wait. And we prepare. Back. At the base, Amara stood quietly. The cameras were off now. She looked at her father. Did I do the right thing? She asked. He nodded. You did more than right, he said. You shook the world. And you didn't even raise your voice, but far away, in a dark building. Someone opened a file. On the front was her name, Amara Wright, level red and below. It, a handwritten line. She's not just a story now, she's a symbol, and that's dangerous. After the speech, everything changed. For Amara, life would never be quiet again. Her face was on news channels. Her voice was shared in classrooms. People called her a hero. But Amara didn't feel like one. She was just a girl who got laughed at, in an airport. And now, the whole world was watching. Inside the secret base, Amara sat in a small room. A file was open on the table. Her name was on every page. "Why are you showing me this?" she asked. The woman across from her, a national security advisor, replied, "Because you need to know the truth." Amara read slowly. Lines about threats, about spies, about power, her mother's past, her father's missions, and one thing more, something that made her heart freeze. Amara Wright may carry access to national-level encrypted files passed down through her mother's hidden work. She looked up, confused. "I don't understand," the woman said. "You're more than just a girl with a famous father. Your mother hid something deep inside this country's systems." She left a code, a key. "It's tied to you." Amara stared. "You mean something inside me can unlock something dangerous?" "Not dangerous," the woman said, "but powerful. Too powerful for some people." Back in the city, Officer Brad sat alone in a lawyer's office. He had lost his job, lost his friends. His face was now a symbol of arrogance, of ignorance. "I didn't mean for any of this," he said quietly. His lawyer shook his head. "Doesn't matter. The world saw what you did." Meanwhile, Amara stood with her father near a runway. A jet waited, but this time it wasn't for hiding. It was for choosing. "You don't have to do this," her father said. "We can walk away, live quietly." "But what if this isn't just about us?" Amara asked. "What if I can help people?" He looked at her with pride. "You've already helped more than you know." Before boarding, she stopped. "Wait," she said. "One last thing." She opened her phone and recorded a video. Her voice was calm, her words simple. "I didn't ask for this, but maybe it chose me. To every girl who feels small, you have no idea how big your heart is. To every person who laughed, I forgive you, but I won't be silent anymore. This is just the beginning." The video broke the internet. Millions shared it. Schools played it. Even world leaders responded. But not everyone was cheering. In a secret office, someone closed a laptop. "She's too powerful," he said. "What now?" "We watch. We wait. If she steps too far, we act." But Amara didn't know about the files, or the enemies in the dark. She only knew one thing. She wasn't afraid anymore. Not of being laughed at. Not of being alone. Not of being seen. Because now she understood something. She didn't need power to be strong. She already had it, in her truth, in her voice, and in her heart. And that kind of power is the kind no one can take away.